Hey guys, it is AutumnSkylar here, and as you have read from the title, I'm getting another surgery. Yay! So, for those that have been following along with the channel, you know already that I was going to be getting another surgery. This is the same surgery that I have been waiting and waiting and waiting to get approval for. Finally, it has come to fruition and I have gotten a date. But it has been a long road. I first found out that I would need this type of surgery back when I was about 17, almost 18, and I have done everything that I can to fight against that, basically. I've taken every medication, done every change to my routine that one could do to try and circumvent this drastic change. The surgery in question is an ileostomy, which is like a colostomy bag, but just on a different part of the body. It is attached to the small bowel as opposed to the large bowel. That is because they found recently that the entirety of my large bowel is basically paralyzed. We knew that it didn't work well and that it was getting worse and worse, but we did a second series of scans that was almost like a part 2 because I had already had this series of scans back in 2020 or 2021, and it showed a lot of the same things, but worse, way worse. It's called a Sitzmark study. You take a pill and there are a bunch of these almost tiny rubber bands that when they do scans on day 1, they look and see where they are within your intestines, and then you go back 5 days later, get another series of scans, and that shows where, again, all of these little loop-de-loops have ended up within your bowels. It is a test for severe constipation. The first one that I did in 2021 showed that the majority of the loop-de-loops were still within the lower part of my colon, but some had passed through, but it was still indicative of severe constipation. This time, I didn't pass any. They were all still in there, and some all the way towards the upper, filling the upper of my colon. So what that shows them is that yes, I need the ileostomy, not a colostomy, because it is not just the lower part of my colon that doesn't work, but the entirety. So that's great. My surgery date is June 18th, which is fucking funny. See, it's not really funny, but it's funny to me because trauma's hilarious, and you can't tell me otherwise. So, 10 years from this coming June 18th was the worst day of my life. I lost the girl that was my first love to suicide. Totally hilarious, right? But I've been very much dreading the official 10-year mark. And funny, I'm going to have my surgery that day. So for about 2 to 4 hours of it, I'll be passed out. So I don't really have to worry about it. I like to think that that was a little gift from Molly, the name of the girl who I loved, my girlfriend. I like to think that was a little gift of her. Like, hey, you told your therapist that you've been dreading this day. Well, we're going to make it that day, so you don't have anything to worry about except getting better. That's at least how I like to think about it. So, it's been a long journey. I've been basically trying to get approval for surgery since October of last year, which is terrifying. I've had to go from doctor to doctor because I got a second opinion at a different gastro in the city, who then recommended me to a surgeon within that same practice at Weill Cornell, which is supposed to be the best of the best, but for those that know, I haven't been exactly pleased this year with their service. And this is a part of it, because the surgeon kind of wasted my time for 2 months to then eventually tell me, yeah, I could do the surgery, but I'm leaving the practice soon. Huh? You did not tell me that, sir. At no point did you drop that bomb except for right now. And then it took some time to have my original gastro here in New Jersey, who I've seen since I was 17, recommend me to a different surgeon, someone he's worked with, and then I finally got into that surgeon. They had me do the Sitzmark study again to confirm that this was what was needed and that the placement of the bag was appropriate. They did that. Now I have a surgery date. Whoop-de-doo. The final portion of this is that on June 5th, my surgeon and 4 other colorectal surgeons out of, it's Robert Wood Johnson in New Jersey that I'm getting surgery at, but 4 other colorectal surgeons, they kind of are doing a round table discussion. She said it was a difficult patient discussion. I'm going to be one of those difficult patients that they talk about, not just because I'm a bitch, but because my case is very challenging, and the specific thing that is going to be discussed is whether or not to take out my colon. Because there are 2 ways that an ileostomy can kind of be done. At least, I'm sure there are other ways, but 2 ways that are the most common, at least to my knowledge, as a newbie to all of this. So don't take my word as gospel. So you can either get a loop ileostomy, which has the ability to at some point be reversed, wherein they cut the colon and leave it inside of you, just wiggling around like the little wormy snake that it is, and attach the ileostomy, or they make the decision to take out the colon right then and there. There are many people who get the loop and then later down the line get the entire colon taken out to make it permanent. And the reason that my surgeon isn't quite sure which is going to be best for my case is because with the issue that I have with the current state of medicine, there is no cure for this issue, for dysmotility, besides all of the medications that I already tried and eventually stopped working, or to get an ileostomy. However, her opinion is, because I am young, her concern is if in 10 to 20 years some radical change in medicine occurs and there is something that can be done, that I would miss out on the potential to have my procedure reversed. And I can totally understand that point of view. And keeping the colon in usually does not come with many risks. But we already know that I just like to be a challenge. I don't like for anything to be easy for my doctors or for myself or for anybody that enters into my life, basically. So she is going to discuss with the other doctors if they have themselves had cases such as mine, and if their opinion is agreeing with her that the colon could stay in to potentially be reversed when radical changes in medicine potentially occur, or if they strongly disagree and have had cases where there's been a negative impact by keeping the colon in, then we will have it removed. The only shitty thing, pun intended, is that if I get my colon removed, it's going to be a lot harder to recover from. Already it's going to be a challenge because you're getting used to a whole new way of living, but to get the colon out is going to be a lot more painful, obviously. I don't really have an opinion one way or another because I know currently there's no reason for it to ever be reversed, because unlike people who have Crohn's and get a bag wherein they can give their digestive tract a break and the inflammation can go down and then they can have a reversal, my large bowel is paralyzed. There's not really anything that a break is going to do. It's not going to rewire it, sadly. But she's right. Something radical could change. So I'm leaving it all up to them. I don't really want that decision on my shoulders because I really have nothing to compare it to. So that's that. What are my feelings? At this point, I want it done, and I want my life to change. I have gained an exorbitant amount of weight over the past few months because of how damaged my digestive tract has become, because of how slow moving it is. I'm just constantly reabsorbing nutrients, and it is painful. It is so painful to be constantly impacted and then to take such drastic measures that may not even work. The cramping is intense. I'm having to stay in bed a majority of the time because my body can't handle it. And because of that, I have become deconditioned. I want my life back. It's hard that I have to give in. It's hard that this thing I've been terrified of for the past 7 years, that I have fought so hard to not have done, is being forced upon me. And I mean, obviously it's my choice, but I can't keep living like this. This isn't a way to live. I don't want this to be my life. I miss my good days. And I really think that after I have healed from the surgical pain, that I'll be in a much better place. And even if it's only a slight difference would be a big difference to me right now. I just don't want my whole life to revolve around if I can go to the bathroom or not one day, because it becomes catastrophic. So those are my feelings thus far. Right now, I'm just resting up. I am making sure to get all of my pre-surgery appointments scheduled. I am trying to make a list of all of the things I want to bring to the hospital, and I'm trying to decide something that I go back and forth on, which is if I want to do inpatient rehab again afterwards, because I do have the option to go home. And my surgeon said that she has seen good results with individuals that go home immediately. And obviously the goal is to always go home because home is where people feel more comfortable. However, I have become so deconditioned, it is very much a challenge just to exist in my body. And I really want to get off of pain meds quickly. And I think that part of the pain has a lot to do with my digestive issues, but also with the deconditioning that's occurred as a result of having to spend so much time in bed, curled up in a ball, trying not to scream my head off. So it's something I go back and forth on. I know that my pain management physician thinks that it's a good idea. I just don't want to make the wrong decision, but I also want to get better as quickly as possible. That's very important to me. So I go back and forth. I kind of change daily what I want to do. I think at this point, I may just wait until after my surgery, because I know I've been in the hospital so many times that I'm always evaluated by physical therapists that come and decide when I can go home. So I'll talk with them about it too, and I'll go from there. So that's kind of the update that I have right now. I think that maybe I want to do a couple of videos talking about what stuff to bring when you know you're going into the hospital, stuff like that. But we'll see if I even have the energy to do them. It's nice to plan stuff, but I really don't follow through on a lot of my plans these days. But hopefully that changes. Anyways, that's kind of it for the updates. I hope that you enjoyed listening to me talk about getting a poop bag. And I hope you keep me in your thoughts. Thank you so much for all of your support and love. I appreciate each and every one of you. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye, guys.